So we're going to talk about these 5 bots not to invest in. So I think we'll go through mine first, and I'll talk about 5 bots that I think you shouldn't invest in. I'll say why and why I think that, and then we'll go through grind times, compare, and sort of see if we sort of agree or not. On some of them, maybe none of them. Who knows? We can agree, disagree. We'll talk about my and see what grind time thinks of my selections as well. So, first selection for me, and the reason that I've chose this bot is that it became a 5 star. We sort of fighted for it to have a buff, didn't really get it. Got a G1, got ability 11, didn't get anywhere. Any idea who I'm talking about grind time?
It's probably one of the ones on my list, but we'll see.
Let's see. Well, that bot is actually Hound.
Okay, he almost made my list. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that obviously we're trying to exclude the really, really worst bots in the game because we know they're probably going to get a buff at some point. So I think the likes of maybe Cliff Jumper, obviously Cosmos looking to get a buff now, Ultra Magnus, I think these bots will get a good buff. But I think Hound's one of those bots that he does what he's supposed to do well. He does kill, resource buildings really well. But outside of that, he's not very good. And he has great range, but it's just really hard to really find any real use for him. And I just can't see him getting really rebuffed again for any decent use, personally. So I just think that if you do pull a 4 or 5 star Hound, don't go crazy on him. Don't invest too much. You'll find that very quickly, once you get to the higher levels of the game, he just doesn't do much, really. No, and I started when I spoke to Grindtime, I said, also think of, leveling, thinking of Zen farming, all these things, because you might look at the likes of Star Saber and Elite and go, yeah, the top level wars, they're not really relevant right now. That can change over time, but they'll still be relevant for Zen farming. You still have a good use for them. Can you use Hound for Zen farming and for all these things? And maybe not so much. So, don't invest too much in him. Second on my list, again, another bot with a G1, another bot with ability 11, a 5 star. And I think because it fell away from the meta quite quickly after the release of SG Jetfire and further jets down the line. Just pushing this bot further and further back. And I think that Spaceship are going away from buffing old one-shot bots. They're not going to buff these guys so much to be totally relevant, I don't think. So, any idea who I'm thinking of?
Is it just Jetfire?
Almost. It's actually Firefly, who I don't have as
Fire.
a 5 star, actually. So he's available in the 5 star, but I only have as a 4 star. Again, had ability 11, had a G1, doesn't do as much as Jetfire, and even Jetfire is struggling in the current meta to do anything. And I think that with the likes of Roadbuster and SG Jetfire, I don't think you're going to see much of this guy. And you can one shot at some decent levels, but once you get to Cybertron and above, then he starts to really struggle. Once you get past Cybertron, I'd say I can't see you getting much of a buff because he actually does what he's supposed to do actually quite well. Just as a one shot at decent at low levels, does really well. Good AoE for ability 11, and I like the idea behind Firefly, but he's just not kept with the meta, but not quite awful enough to get a buff. There's a lot more jets, a lot worse off than Firefly. Next up, so this was I'm going to release I think a couple of years ago. And in testing, we had some good ideas on how you could use him. And again, he does what he's supposed to do very well. I don't think they can buff him more than what he has, because what he does is actually quite good. Quite a new 5 star in the last couple of years. Only available as a 4 star at the minute. And that bot is SG Goldbug.
Okay.
So when we sort of tested him with Warpath, combining him, we thought, wow, this guy's actually pretty good. And then what did they do? They brought out Warpath with Glass Gas. So straight away made SG Goldbug totally irrelevant.
I forgot that bot existed.
Exactly. But you got to think that if they buff him, he does Glass Gas in an infinite range. They're not going to really give him 60% damage. You're not 40% sort of like we had Inferno at 40% until recently as a 5 star. 40% Glass Gas is like the sort of, point of no return where they won't go past. infinite range. I mean, what else can they give him, really? I mean, he isn't a 5-star yet. He hasn't got ability 11. He hasn't got a G1. But I think even to make this guy a 5-star, I'm going to struggle to really give him much. I don't think he's top of the list for 5 stars anyway. I don't think anyone's requested him anytime soon. So that's another bot that I think not to invest too much in, guys, and not to worry too much about. Next up is a warrior. So this bot's been in the game for, I wouldn't say since concept, for a long time though. Had a couple of buffs over the years, but just fell away from the meta when a bot very similar to that bot became a 5-star. I think this 5-star is in pretty much most people's war teams now. And so this bot is just a poor man's version, basically. Any idea who that is, Grind Time?
Sideswipe?
No. It's RC.
RC, okay, yep.
Yeah, I just think that having Rook in everyone's war team just ruined her. I just think Rook's a lot better. A lot better. It's going to take a lot for to make RC as good as Rook. I think
there's really not much they could do other than make her do what Rook does, which why, so
yeah,
they're basically the same. In idea, they're basically the same bot. So
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think she's a lower cost, but with the way that obviously DPS is going with defenses, even at Cybertron, that Hollow dies pretty quickly. And again, I don't think she's top of the list to get a buff because she's not awful. I don't think you'll see RC on pretty much anyone's war team as well, which I think is a common factor in all these bots. So, not viable at the top levels of the game. You're not going to farm with her. You're not going to do anything with her. You're not going to get any Zen with her. So, she's not going to give you anything in the game, really. Any benefit as such. And then, lastly, might be a bit of a surprise. So, this bot was made a 5-star a few years ago. I think everyone was excited when it was made a 5-star, one of the highest damage in the game. But when it came to trying it out in war teams, just didn't do well at all. Not bad for Zen farming, actually. I use this bot for Zen farming here and there. I haven't gone for the 5-star though. I've kept away from it. Can be good for Zen farming and leveling maybe in certain circumstances, but it's misleading because when you see the stats and how much damage that the bot does, you're like, wow, that must be amazing. But in practice, just no. Any idea, Grind Time? I'll give you another clue. It's a triple changer.
Oh, triple changer. Okay, so is that?
Oh, I made it easy. Come on.
Triple changer must be Skylinks.
Spot on. Yeah. Super crazy damage when you look at his stats. But have you seen anyone using Skylinks in wars?
No.
No. So I think it's simply down to the pathing, running ahead. They've actually given him a buff recently and slowed him down. They made him be able to combine with with the top spin, but it didn't really work out either. Got too costly and stuff. So Skylinks is good. They're not going to give him a damage buff. They've already slowed him down already. He's okay, but again, he's not amazing. He's not awful either. He has a couple of uses, but quite misleading, guys. If you try and use this for Zen farming, things like that, attack the HQ, kill the HQ, that is it. If you're trying to go through the base with Skylinks, it's going to get very costly very quickly if it's not a clustered base. So very niche. And so I'm just not a big fan of Skylinks in general. Actually, the only bot in that batch that I have left to pull, and I haven't pulled it, I've literally just left it there, and I don't think I ever will pull it.